I'm here outside Prague about half an hour, and where am I at? Sapa Market. And what is Sapa Market? It's a giant Vietnamese market area filled with shops and stores and delicious treats for us to explore. And you may be wondering why there is a giant Vietnamese shopping area right outside Prague. Well, believe it or not, Czech Republic has a giant Vietnamese immigrant population. So over 80,000 people currently living in the Czech Republic coming from Vietnam. And how did these people get here? Well, earlier on, Vietnamese community, the communist government, also the Czechoslovakian government communist. So there was an exchange of workers to come over here and help things out. And actually a lot of people stayed. So suddenly we have a giant Vietnamese community here, which is awesome because it enriches both the culture and the food culture of this wonderful country. So I'm going to take you guys inside lots of interesting things to explore on a little journey here. You're going to come along with me and we're going to go find some interesting, amazing things. Let's go. In we go to Sapa Market, and you can see already lots of different stores and signs and things like that in Vietnamese. But let's go in and take a look. Coming to the Sapa Market is almost like a visit to Vietnam. All the signs are in Vietnamese and everyone is speaking Vietnamese. All right, folks, Jason Wang's Sapa Market mini adventure video is about to start. The majority of what's sold at the Sapa Market is food, clothing, and daily necessities from Vietnam and Asia. But of course, there are also some eateries and restaurants. The Czechs say that this is the most authentic Vietnamese area in Europe. Sapa Market is really a bustling spot here with actually quite a large area of warehouses and all these different stores over here. So I'm in the mood for something traditional, delicious pho here. So in the mood for some noodles. So I'm going to find a place to eat it. And actually, right behind me here, a restaurant shop where I'm gonna try a delicious bowl of pho. So let's go in. Okay. You know, I can already smell it from outside here. So let's go in and have a look here. Okay. Hello. I've made my way into one of the restaurants at the Sapa Market and I've ordered an iconic traditional Vietnamese dish, pho. And this style of pho in this restaurant is northern style pho. So southern style you may be familiar with bean sprouts, 九层塔, 绿的柠檬辣椒, but this is the northern style, which makes sense because after all, Sapa is one of the northern cities in Vietnam. So traditionally the pho is eaten with this. You can dip it or you can eat it along, but really looks like Taiwan the youtiao. So a lovely treat and a lovely surprise here all the way in Prague. And what I love about pho is just the delicious broth. You know, this broth, crystal clear if you take a look at it. Very, very clean, simmered for hours and hours and hours, and lots of different spices in here. Just incredibly rich, full flavors, star anise, cinnamon, roasted onion, ginger, hints of lots of different full beef flavors, but highlighted by all those herbal accents. And the traditional noodle here, let me take a look. So northern style, slightly thicker noodle. There's always something really fun about eating noodles, just that slurp and all that juice coming up there. But again, it's a crystal clear broth filled with lots of beefy, rich, aromatic flavors. And the tender slices of meat here that I'm getting into, the thin meat, just incredibly tender, just melting in your mouth, giving you that texture. A little bit of crunch from the herbs and the spices in here, plus that slippery, delicious, chewy, al dente texture of the noodles. I think it's really interesting. Sometimes you're traveling abroad and you go to a restaurant, you order something which you think should be authentic, and it comes to the table and you're thinking, that's not authentic at all. But 其实我们不应该想到底是道地还是不道地。You really 要从概念的想到 OK， 如果有人从别的国家移民来，他们带了一道菜，这是他们家里想吃的菜 ，it reminds them of home。但是 maybe 他们来这个国家，他们找不到那些道地的食材，怎么办呢？ Well, 他们还是就是用当地的食材 try to make that dish. So while it may not be authentic, it certainly has its own flavor and its own sense of place and where this food is in terms of the culture of that particular country. So next time you're ordering something and you're thinking, maybe it's not authentic, think about where you are, think about the history of the people coming in there and how that dish came to be on that plate. So I'm gonna get back in here, a little bit of chili, a little bit of lemon in here, and I'm gonna be enjoying my noodles here in Prague. I have to admit, I'm really super happy to have this bowl of pho in Prague. Maybe it's missing a few of the fresh herbs I might expect, but the flavor is definitely very authentic Vietnamese. Historically, Vietnamese have been in the Czech Republic for at least 3 generations. These immigrants look to foods such as pho to remind them of their homeland and to keep up their Vietnamese traditions and culture. Lots of interesting things to try, and something over here that I see, a place for a delicious Vietnamese pick-me-up. I don't know if you can see right up here, cafe. So I'm gonna try something very quintessential refreshment here in the Vietnamese tradition. So let's go inside and find it. Delicious Vietnamese coffee, and take a look. It's a little bit unusual. This is a special Vietnamese drip coffee where they have an amazing little contraption here where you put the coffee grinds inside here, and inside they pour hot water, and it's usually dark roast, kind of coarse ground, dripping through, slowly dripping through into this thick, robust brew that's at the bottom of this teacup. And I think it's a little different because not only is there coffee in here, there's also something else at the bottom. What's that in there? Condensed milk. And you're thinking, Lian Ru, why do we have Lian Ru inside the coffee? Well, it has to do a little bit with the history of coffee in Vietnam. So Vietnam, back in the 1800s, coffee was introduced there by the French. So obviously a very strong French tradition of drinking coffee. And as it developed, coffee spread in popularity all over Vietnam. And actually today, Vietnam is the 2nd largest producer of coffee in the entire world. So obviously in a French tradition, adding milk into coffee, cafe au lait, cafe latte, and things like that. But Vietnam, not the place to be rearing all the beef and things like that, so the dairy tradition was not there. But they still wanted to have dairy and things like that in their coffee, so what did they do? They started to add Lian Ru and condensed milk. So a nice way to add a Vietnamese touch onto a French specialty. Just gonna mix this up here. Typically you let it drip through, you let it condense down in the bottom, and then right before you drink it, you stir it up. Love that idea of the condensed milk in there, sweetness, nice full body richness. It's a powerful punch in here in a little cup. So let's have a drink. Wow, that's a big bam of like flavor. Intense coffee roasted notes and that lovely, lovely sweet kind of milky flavor you get from the condensed milk in there. Just be aware, it looks like a small glass, but it packs a big punch. I've tasted both pho and Vietnamese coffee, 2 iconic foods in Vietnamese cuisine, and I have to say the flavors here are authentic. In 1993, the first Vietnamese immigrants set up a stall here to begin the life of the Sapa market. Within the next 5 years, Czechs began to take notice of this intriguing cuisine, and the number of tourists coming here to look for culinary treats and hidden gems grew. Nowadays, Prague even offers cooking classes on how to make Vietnamese food. As the 3rd largest group of immigrants in the Czech Republic, the Vietnamese continue to add richness, complexity, and diversity to the Czech food culture. After leaving the Sapa market, I've got one more important task to complete. If I miss it, I'll definitely regret it. It's my last night here in Prague, and what am I looking for? Some delicious, hearty, traditional Czech cuisine. And what better place to enjoy it at than the old town square? You can see the stunning view right behind me. So just want to point out that when we're in Europe and we're ordering meals, it's a little bit different than in Asia. So typically the waiter will come first and they'll ask for a beverage order. So after 点了饮料, 他们 maybe go away and then get your beverage and come back. And then they'll ask you to 点正餐. And the reason why is thinking about what you want to order, you can enjoy a nice glass beverage. So here I've ordered a delicious traditional Czech beer, famous in Czechoslovakia. I mean, just one of the amazing products they have here. So I've ordered 2 delicious dishes. And as you can see, both very meat-centered dishes, and that's traditional of Czech cuisine. Very full portions, nice, 很丰富的这种分量. And what do we have here? We have 猪脚. It's not 猪脚的那个前面的部分 that we may be more used to, but it's a little bit higher up, so there's 比较多肉. And 他们处理的方法 is actually quite delicious, 因为他们先煮过 and then after that 他们烤过，所以肉又嫩又 juicy， 但是外面烤的有一点 golden color, adds a really nice rich flavor to this. And the traditional accompaniments, you see you have pickles here, and you have the horseradish, and then you have the mustard here, delicious, and then you have some coleslaw and things like that. Of course, bread for a nice, really hearty meal. So I'm gonna dig in and try this one. Beautifully tender. 有的时候几乎都不需要用刀子进去, and you can see this amazing juicy, and full of flavor. So delicious, tender, melts in your mouth, and then the nice glaze on the outside just gives it an extra layer of flavor. 因为烤过就有一个很好的这种香气 on the outside, and 搭上 all these different little things. You have the mustard. Just gives it a little kick. And 这个芥末不是通常的芥末，是还加一点 honey 在里头，所以有一种甜度。And 通常吃这种的肉的都是会搭配一些比较刺激的 flavor, just to make sure that as you're eating, I mean it's 很大一块肉，但是你吃的时候可以有 different flavors and just to clean your palate. So wonderful. And the next item here, delicious Czech-style schnitzel. So they've taken the pork, 这是猪排，然后裹了粉 and breadcrumbs, 然后炸成一个酥酥的 golden brown. 传统的 Czech cuisine, 他们 really want to rely on the flavor of the meat itself. 所以他们佐料没有放很多，但是很简单的就是 a nice lemon for a little bit of acidity here. Check that out. And a delicious potato salad. So potatoes and meat, very traditional Czech cuisine here. So let me get into here. So it looks like a large portion. It's quite thin actually because 他们有把猪排稍微 pounded. But you can look into here, nice beautiful white meat, nice crust on here with a little bit of lemon just to zing it up. Really, really good. Very pure flavor. So 你真的可以吃到的肉的原味. Again, last night here in Prague, again, this stunning, beautiful view. It's been a pleasure to be here and try the traditional Czech cuisine, to really sit back and relax. And you know, part of the thing about traveling is just really getting a sense of the culture, the local flavors, the history, and how that all brings itself together on the food on the plate. So just a wonderful experience here in Prague, and I hope you will come here someday and try out these delicious, amazing things.
I really love this way of traveling. With food, I've not only tasted the delicious cuisines of different countries, but have also gotten to appreciate the historical and cultural messages that speak through these foods. Of course, I'm always up for a museum, but for me, food is history and culture that is happening in the moment, right now. And I'm so fortunate to be experiencing it firsthand.